In the last lesson, we learned what fractions are. Today, we will learn two important ideas: common denominators, recíprocos. This concept will help us solve the fraction problem more easily. Let's begin. A common denominator means changing fractions so that they can have the same denominator. For example, 1/2 and 1/4. The denominator are different. One fraction has a denominator of 2. The other fraction has a denominator of 4. To make them easy to compare, we can change 1/2 into 2/4. Now both fractions have the same denominator. Let's look at this example. 1/2 plus 1/4. Can we simply add the numbers? No, because the parts are different size. 1/2 means the whole is divided into 2 equal parts. 1/4 means the whole is divided into 4 equal parts. Since the parts are different size, we must first make them the same size. That is why we find a common denominator. Imagine a cake. If we divided the cake into 2 equal parts, 1/2 means 1 piece. If we divided the same cake into 4 equal parts, 1/4 means 1 piece. Notice that 1/2 is the same as 2/4, so 1/2 equals 2/4. Even though the numbers look different, they represent the same amount. Just like this. So, how do we find the common denominator? Let's follow these steps. Step 1. Look at the denominators. For example, 1/2 and 1/3. The denominator are 2 and 3. Step 2. Find the common denominator. In this case, 6 works. Step 3. Convert the fractions. 1/2 becomes 3/6. 1/3 becomes 2/6. Now they have the same denominator. When we changing fractions, we must multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. For example, 1/2 becomes 3/6. We multiply both numbers by 3. The value does not change. Only the way we write the fraction changes. Let's change 1/2 and 1/4. The common denominator is 4. 1/2 becomes 2/4. Now we have 2/4 and 1/4. The denominator are the same. Let's change 1/3 and 1/6. The common denominator is 6. 1/3 becomes 2/6. Now we have 2/6 and 1/6. Great job! What is reciprocate? A reciprocate is made by switching the numerator and denominator. For example, 3/4 becomes 4/3. 2/5 becomes 5/2. 1/6 becomes 6/1, or simply 6. A fraction multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. For example, 3/4 times 4/3. The answer is 1. Why? Because the numerator and denominator become the same number. 12/12 equals 1. Reciprocals are very useful when dividing fractions. Later we will learn dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocate. For example, 1/2 divided by 3/4 becomes 1/2 times 4/3. This makes fraction division much easier. Now, let's practice. Convert 1/2 and 1/5 to the same denominator. The common denominator is 10. 1/2 becomes 5/10. 1/5 becomes 2/10. What is the reciprocate of 3/7? The answer is 7/3. What is reciprocate of 1/4? The answer is 4/1, or simply 4. Today we learned what the common denominator is, how to find the common denominator, how to convert fractions, what the reciprocate is, how reciprocates help us divide a fraction. Excellent work today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next lesson.